Every stage tuning explained. Stage 1. Tuning targets stock vehicles with basic modifications requiring no internal engine work. When you're ready to dip your toes into performance modifications, Stage 1 is your gateway drug, and trust me, it's addictive. This represents the most beginner-friendly level of tuning, designed specifically for cars that are still essentially stock underneath. The star of Stage 1 is ECU remapping, also known as chipping back in the old days, when tuners literally had to solder new chips onto your engine control unit. Nowadays, it's as simple as plugging a laptop into your car's diagnostic port and uploading new software. It's like giving your engine's brain a software update that unlocks hidden potential. You don't even need to visit a tuner anymore. Many Stage 1 upgrades can be flashed remotely, right from your driveway, using OBD2 devices or smartphone apps. Custom-mapped tunes based on your actual driving data are becoming common, so your car gets calibrations optimized for your lifestyle, not just generic gains. Companies now offer user-selectable tune profiles, letting you switch between eco, track, or valet modes on the fly. Some even offer subscription-based power boosts. Imagine paying monthly to unlock horsepower like it's a DLC for your car. Your ECU controls everything from fuel delivery and ignition timing to turbo boost pressure. Manufacturers typically program these systems conservatively to account for different fuel qualities, maintenance habits, and driving conditions around the world. It's like your car is wearing a restrictive suit when it could be wearing athletic gear. A proper Stage 1 remap can deliver absolutely mind-blowing results on turbocharged engines. We're talking about transforming a Golf GTI from 245 horsepower to around 295 to 315 horsepower, or boosting a Fiesta ST from 200 horsepower up to 233 to 252 horsepower. That's like getting a free engine upgrade. The gains are so significant because turbocharged engines have enormous potential that's deliberately held back by conservative factory programming, because emissions regulations and factory warranty terms are stricter than ever. Stage 1 modifications focus on warranty-safe and emissions-compliant gains. Think of them as performance with reversibility and peace of mind, favored by more than 2/3 of tuning customers. Supporting modifications typically include a performance air filter and a catback exhaust system, both of which complement the remap beautifully. A drop-in performance air filter replaces your restrictive paper filter with a high-flow cotton or foam element that lets your engine breathe more freely. Meanwhile, a catback exhaust system opens up the rear section of your exhaust, allowing exhaust gases to flow more freely and reducing back pressure on your turbocharger. The genius of Stage 1 tuning is that these modifications work together hand in hand. While you might see 50 horsepower from a remap alone, adding that performance air filter and catback exhaust allows the remap to squeeze out even more performance. Stage 1 modifications are typically completely reversible, won't void most warranties if done properly, and can often improve fuel economy during normal driving while delivering serious performance when you put your foot down. Stage 2, ready to step things up a notch? Stage 2 tuning is where the gloves come off and you start making more serious commitments to the performance game. If Stage 1 was like giving your car a personal trainer, Stage 2 is like signing up for Olympic training. You're still working with the same basic engine, but now you're removing the factory limitations that were holding back its true potential. Stage 2 is where tuning gets really exciting, because you're not just optimizing what your car maker gave you, you're also eliminating the bottlenecks they built into the system for emissions, noise, and cost considerations. The heart and soul of Stage 2 tuning is a downpipe upgrade, which replaces the restrictive factory exhaust section immediately behind your turbocharger. This is where manufacturers typically install the most restrictive catalytic converters to pass emission standards, creating a massive bottleneck for exhaust flow. It's like trying to drain a swimming pool through a straw when you could be using a fire hose. Modern downpipes are often bolt-on, with improved design for both flow and legal compliance. Upgrading to a high-flow sports catalyst dramatically improves exhaust gas flow and allows your turbocharger to operate much more efficiently. Turbos love having minimal restriction behind them, and removing this bottleneck often unlocks 20 to 40 additional horsepower that was just sitting there waiting to be freed. What's changed dramatically is that Stage 2 is often packaged as all-in-one kits, with intake, downpipe, intercooler, exhaust, and dedicated Stage 2 mapping provided together, sometimes as a ready-to-go box set. Many kits are now plug and play, with modular, emission-compliant sport catalytic converters for easier legal installation. Of course, you can't just bolt on a downpipe and call it a day. Your ECU needs to be told about these changes through Stage 2 remapping software. Factory ECU programming expects to see specific readings from exhaust sensors, and when you change the catalytic converter, those readings change dramatically. Without proper remapping, your car will throw a check engine light and go into limp mode. Stage 2 remapping not only prevents these issues, but also takes full advantage of the improved exhaust flow to dial in more aggressive timing, boost pressure, and fueling. Remote cloud updates and compatibility checks have made it far easier to dial in your car exactly right and keep everything reliable. Air intake upgrades become much more critical at Stage 2, because your engine is now flowing significantly more air and exhaust gases through the system. While a drop-in filter might have been adequate for Stage 1, Stage 2 often calls for a complete cold air intake system that can feed your hungry turbocharger with massive amounts of cool, dense air. Most Stage 2 cars run advanced, cold air induction designs with thermal shielding. Advanced sensors for intake temperature or exhaust management are sometimes optional, with Stage 2 ECU maps adapting flexibly to installed hardware. An upgraded intercooler often joins the party at Stage 2, especially if you're pushing boost levels significantly beyond stock. As your turbocharger works harder and spins faster, it generates more heat in the compressed air, and hot air is less dense than cold air. An aftermarket intercooler with better heat dissipation keeps that compressed air nice and cool, maintaining maximum oxygen density for peak power production. Stage 2 is also about flexibility. You might be able to pick and mix hardware while the tune adapts automatically. And it's easier than ever to stay emissions compliant even at this level. Power gains of 60 to 90 horsepower over stock with daily reliability are now almost the norm. Quality Stage 2 setups can easily push power levels 60 to 90 horsepower beyond stock, transforming your car's character from mild-mannered commuter to genuine performance machine, while still maintaining reasonable daily drivability. Stage 3. Welcome to the big leagues. Stage 3 tuning is where things get serious, expensive, and absolutely addictive. This is the point where you're no longer just optimizing your factory engine, but actively pushing it beyond what the manufacturer ever intended it to do. Think of Stage 3 as the difference between tuning up a bicycle and building a motorcycle. You're entering territory where every component needs to be evaluated for its ability to handle the massive power increases you're chasing. This isn't just about bolt-on modifications anymore. This is about fundamentally transforming your engine into a purpose-built performance machine. At Stage 3, the factory turbocharger often becomes the limiting factor, like trying to force a freight train's worth of air through a bicycle pump. This is where turbo upgrades come into play, often involving swapping to a larger turbocharger from a higher performance model in the same family, like installing a Golf R's K0 4-turbo onto a Golf GTI, or going full custom with a hybrid turbo setup that combines bigger compressor wheels with modified housings. What's evolved dramatically is that Stage 3 features more bolt-on, big turbo conversion kits than ever before. Some are street legal and designed to work with otherwise stock internals for impressive gains. These larger turbos can flow dramatically more air, but they also require supporting modifications throughout the entire system. Modular fuel systems and ethanol E60 to E85 compatibility are common. Even flex fuel support is standard in many modern Stage 3 setups. You'll also find multi-map ECUs that allow you to run pump gas during the week and high-octane or ethanol at the track, with switching as easy as pressing a button. The fuel system almost always needs attention at Stage 3 because more power equals more fuel consumption. Factory fuel injectors that were perfectly adequate for stock power levels suddenly become woefully inadequate, like trying to put out a forest fire with a squirt gun. Upgraded high-flow fuel injectors, often borrowed from higher performance engines in the manufacturer's lineup, become essential to prevent dangerous lean conditions that could turn your engine into an expensive pile of molten metal. The fuel system is now modular and scalable, adapting with your build. Similarly, the fuel pump may need upgrading to maintain adequate fuel pressure under the increased demands. Engine internals start coming into the conversation at Stage 3, and this is where things get both expensive and exciting. Factory pistons, connecting rods, and other internal components were designed with specific stress limits in mind, and Stage 3 power levels can exceed those limits faster than a teenager exceeds their phone data plan. Forged pistons and rods, upgraded bearings, and sometimes even forged crankshafts become necessary to handle the increased cylinder pressures and mechanical stresses. It's like replacing the bones in your arm with titanium before attempting to arm wrestle the Hulk. Advanced safety and engine protection are now built in. Detonation sensors, live diagnostics, and even remote monitoring by your tuner can safeguard your high-power investment. You'll often see supporting hardware like upgraded clutches, brakes, stickier tires, and even user-tunable digital suspension included as part of Stage 3 package builds. The supporting modifications list reads like a Christmas wish list for gearheads. Upgraded clutch to handle the massive torque increases, bigger brakes to stop all that additional power, stickier tires to put it to the ground, stiffer suspension to keep everything planted, and often a limited slip differential to prevent all that power from going up in tire smoke. Stage 3 builds often require dyno tuning, rather than off-the-shelf maps, because every combination of modifications is unique. The results are absolutely intoxicating. Power levels that can double or even triple the factory output. With drop-in turbo kits and affordable tuning support, more enthusiasts are reaching these power levels than ever before, without needing to open the engine and often staying emissions-friendly. Stage 4 and beyond. If Stage 3 was entering the big leagues, then Stage 4 and beyond is like joining the space program. You're now in completely custom territory, where off-the-shelf parts give way to bespoke engineering and where your car becomes less of a vehicle and more of a rolling science experiment. At this level, you're not just modifying your engine, you're essentially building an entirely new powertrain that happens to fit in your original chassis. Think of it like taking a Honda Civic and stuffing it with the heart of a Formula One car. Everything needs to be custom designed, hand-built, and carefully orchestrated to work together without exploding in a spectacular fireball. Stage 4 often involves completely custom engine management systems because the factory ECU simply cannot cope with the radical modifications you're throwing at it. We're talking about standalone engine management units like Haltech, AEM, or Motec systems that cost more than most people's entire Stage 1 builds. These systems allow for incredibly precise control over every aspect of engine operation, from individual cylinder fuel and ignition timing to boost control, traction control, and even launch control systems. It's like upgrading from a basic calculator to a supercomputer. Suddenly, you have capabilities that didn't even exist in the factory ECU's vocabulary. What's incredible about these advanced standalone engine management systems are smarter than ever, offering over-the-air OTA software updates, seamless integration with factory driver aids and safety features, and live telemetry you can monitor on your smartphone or in-car display. Map switching has become standard. Race, wet, drag, and even valet modes can be swapped on the fly, often using steering wheel controls or touchscreen interfaces. This is technology that was Formula One exclusive just a few years ago. Engine displacement modifications often enter the picture at Stage 4, whether through stroker kits that increase the engine's internal capacity or complete engine swaps that transplant a much larger power plant into your chassis. Imagine taking a 2-liter engine and turning it into a 2.5-liter monster, or completely ditching the factory engine in favor of a purpose-built racing motor. Complete engine swaps, strokers, and high-displacement builds are more integrated. Builders can offer package engineering, covering not just the engine, but the full driveline, race-grade cooling, brakes, suspension, and even full digital controls. Some builds even venture into exotic territory with methanol injection systems that spray alcohol into the intake to dramatically cool the air charge and prevent detonation, or nitrous oxide injection that provides instant power, increases at the touch of a button, like installing afterburners on a jet fighter. Supporting upgrades now include custom fuel systems, bulletproofed transmissions, competition-grade cooling, full roll cages, and motorsport data systems. At Stage 4+, power levels in the 4-digit range are growing more common, and some builds feature motorsport telemetry, with real-time remote support from engineers. The supporting modifications at Stage 4 and beyond become absolutely mind-boggling. We're talking about complete drivetrain overhauls, with upgraded transmissions, custom-built rear axles, full roll cages for safety, racing fuel systems with multiple pumps and surge tanks, dry sump oil systems that eliminate oil starvation under extreme G-forces, and cooling systems that look like they belong in a nuclear power plant. At this level, your car transforms from a street machine into something that would be equally at home on a drag strip, road course, or dyno shootout competition. Power levels can easily exceed 800 to 1,000 horsepower or more, with some builds pushing into 4-digit territory that makes supercars look tame by comparison. But here's the reality check. Stage 4 and beyond builds often sacrifice daily drivability, fuel economy, emissions compliance, and sometimes even basic reliability in pursuit of maximum performance. These are typically trailer queens or dedicated race cars that emerge only for special occasions. With the rise of electric and hybrid tuning, some shops now offer custom EV powertrains and AWD conversions. Stage 4+ builds are typically for dedicated events, daily use, emissions, and street legality are usually sacrificed for maximum performance. The costs can easily reach into the tens of thousands of dollars, and the complexity requires a team of specialists rather than your local mechanic. It's the automotive equivalent of climbing Mount Everest. Incredibly rewarding for those who attempt it, but definitely not a journey for everyone. Electric vehicle and hybrid tuning. Electric vehicle tuning is exploding. No hardware changes needed, just remapping motor controllers, battery management optimization, and cooling system upgrades. EV hacking is big now. Tesla unlocks, Nissan Leaf torque, chip tunes, and even family minivans gaining extra torque through Wi-Fi updates. Some EVs get swapped from rear-wheel drive to all-wheel drive, all accomplished in home garages using aftermarket motor controllers and custom battery packs. It's like the early days of ECU tuning, but for electric motors, diesel tuning. Diesel tuning follows similar stage progression, but emphasizes torque production over peak horsepower. Massive torque figures, rolling coal, when legal, and brutal turbo surge characterize this segment. Common modifications include turbocharger upgrades, fuel injection system enhancements, and emissions equipment removal, where legally permitted. Diesel engines respond incredibly well to tuning, often seeing 100 plus horsepower and 200 plus pound-foot torque gains from software alone. Naturally aspirated tuning. NA tuning focuses on airflow optimization through intake and exhaust modifications, camshaft upgrades, and compression ratio increases. Power gains are more modest but linear throughout the RPM range, providing different driving characteristics than turbocharged builds. The beauty of NA tuning is the linear power delivery and incredible engine sounds. No turbo lag, no complex plumbing, just pure naturally aspirated fury that builds predictably with RPM. Drag racing builds. Go fast in a straight line at any cost. Gigantic turbos, bare chassis, parachutes, and enough power to make the ground shake. Cars stripped to the shell. 2,000 plus horsepower. Tire smoke on command, often with YouTube famous wheelies. Track day, time, attack. Not just power, every gram counts. Lightweight everything, data loggers, quick release steering wheels, and enough stickers to make a NASCAR pit crew jealous. These builds prioritize lap times over straight line speed. Rally/rallycross conversions, lifted suspensions, skid plates, snorkels, and anti-lag turbo tricks. The secret sauce? Building strong after you've broken something? Twice. These are the mountain climbing, creek fording 4x4s that laugh at weather. Drift builds. Not every mod is about speed. Some tune for air suspension, cambered wheels, wild paint, or a trunk filled with subwoofers. Rear-wheel drive conversions, angle kits for extreme steering lock, and power delivery optimized for sustained sideways driving. Each stage builds upon the previous, creating a logical progression toward your ultimate performance target. Whether you stop at stage 1 or build a 4-digit horsepower monster, the most important thing is starting somewhere. Every modification teaches you something new about your car, about engineering, and about what you're really chasing. Modern tuning emphasizes technology integration, emissions compliance, and user accessibility. Remote tuning, smartphone integration, and AI-assisted optimization make performance modifications more accessible than ever before. If you want to keep up with more stories and breakdowns like this, then subscribe. See you in the next video.